Just a little preamble to say we recorded this back in November, I think. So that's why we're still on about like spooky season, stupid shit like that. So yeah, if you're wondering what that's all about, just don't judge. Cut some bloody slack, will you?
Croissant, and welcome to another episode of Tales for Wales, the pod that never fails to brew laughs, history, and addictive whimsy into a beautifully smooth little Sunday beverage. I'm Jack, and as always, I'm joined by my confidant, my friend of many a year, Franco. And today we're going to be talking about the Asylum of Talgarth. Is that right?
Mate, you should end up in a bloody asylum.
Oh,
They should lock us away in an asylum, shouldn't they?
You don't have to be nuts to be on the pod, but it
But
helps.
it
you know what I
helps.
mean?
I mean, it's actually a really tragic, horrible place. But you gotta have a laugh.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to have a little tease.
Yeah, just have a laugh. It's fine.
Also, this is a note for me and you. I've got a feature that I want us to introduce. But I think we'll do it at the end. Okay. So actually, we'll leave this in.
Wait, is it?
We can leave this in, but I
Okay.
maybe we'll leave this in. We'll see. Ooh, how excited!
Yes, you got to listen to the end now.
Yeah, we'll see. We can even record it as an add-on to the last episode because it's quite short. But we'll see. Let's get giddy. So me and Jack, just to catch you up, we're doing 2 episodes today on a Sunday. Jack's had a fucking heavy weekend, and I've had existential crisis. I've gone through. I'm terrified I'm about to die, and Jack is killing himself slowly with alcohol.
It's very. We're dealing with it very differently.
Yeah,
it was the same sides of different sides of the same coin. You might say. You would literally just tell me before we started recording. Now you're like, I've ordered like a cardiovascular medicine.
During the last episode, I was like, I actually just googled during the last episode. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna get some medicine. I just I bought some health tablets for my heart. No one said
you would be an absolutely brilliant mark for a scammer. Just going, do you want these heart pills? You'd be like, give them to me. How much is a blank check? Just give them to me.
My old man's got a dodgy ticker. He's really bad heart, and my lifestyle has an impact on my heart. So I'm just know it's coming, and that's the worst part. It's like fucking the music in Jaws is constantly in the background. Going, turn it.
Christ, that sounds like the most real sort of a description of anxiety I've ever heard. Imagine Jaws themes just in the background all the time.
That is it, isn't it, man? It's just that's what anxiety is. Just constantly feeling a sense of oh fuck. So maybe I'm just in a bit of a bout of anxiety at the moment, which I am prone to, as we all are, I'm sure. Oh, we all bloody men. We don't get any of that shit.
We don't never talk
I
about
actually
it.
can't imagine you ever having anxiety.
Me?
I've got a bunch of mates who
all the time, mate. I don't like fucking. I have my camera off on Teams because sometimes if there's too long a silence, I like seize up and clench because I don't like the awkwardness of it. And this thing is, I'm so used to working from home now that I catch myself almost doing it when I actually don't go into the office and there's an awkward silence. I feel like my body's going, do that cringe thing you do, and it's like, no, I can't do that in person. I think I'm fucking a freak.
Well, Mine's more death anxiety than awkward silence anxiety. But it's mad.
I just don't like it.
And the feelings are the same, aren't they?
Same thing.
Hey, look, it only took us...
We're all just bloody human, and we boys.
It took us like 47 episodes to tap into the mental health market. We're going to milk that one dry.
Sorry, listeners. We're doing a pivot. We're not doing history anymore. This is a well-being podcast now.
Yeah. Well, how are you? How is your well-being? I listened to one of our other episodes the other day, just a quality assurance, because I actually hate listening back to what we sound like.
I hate hearing my own voice. Yeah, I don't like it.
But I was walking, and it's so funny whenever I try and tee you up with an anecdote of what you've been up to, or I just try and have a general conversation with you. I can hear you go, scrolling through your phone to find your notes to tell me a story. Which in normal life you would tell me these things so naturally anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think because I know it's being recorded, my brain is going like, stick to the script. It's like you'll throw in a question I didn't expect, and I'm like, right, ignore that and just fucking say the bits in your notes.
Have you got anything for us this week?
I do. I was going to say, and funny you're on about anxiety, right? It's the most stressed I think I've been in a long time, and certainly the most stressed I've seen Amy. right? My wife, for those who don't know,
Yeah.
we went to this golden retriever cafe, right? Amy booked it. I think it'd be a good laugh. You just loads of golden retrievers around, and this you can have a pint, you can have some food, whatever. The dogs get a free puppuccino and all this sort of
Our
stuff.
non-golden
Not
retrievers are like, this sounds a bit like no dogs, no
what.
Irish, like one of those racist pubs
Yeah,
you're not allowed to go.
yeah. Well, before we got there, we were queuing, and there's all these people with golden retrievers and everything. Alfie, my dog, was loving it, and we had to wait because before the golden retriever cafe, there was corgi cafe, which sounds way cooler, and there was loads of corgis. So then all the corgis left, and then we got let in. And this guy was like, "Oh, you can let the dogs off the lead, but only once the doors are secure and everything. So you get in." He said, "Once everyone at the door is secure, we'll say you can let them off the lead and you can let your dogs off the lead." I shit you not, it was chaos. I couldn't sum up like a scene of chaos better than just seeing these. They went, "All right, you can let them off the leads now," and the place fucking erupted. And like, if anyone's got a golden retriever, they're a bit like Alfie's such a lump, right? He'll walk past you and you'll boof your legs out the way because he's like, I need to go through, he doesn't really care that you're in the way, kind of thing. Imagine that, but with like 50 fucking dogs, and they're all about like 35 kilos or something. They were just running riot. We didn't let ours off the leash because we'd never get him back. But I felt like, I don't know if this is right to say, but I felt like this is what autistic people who have like a sensory overload feel like. Because I was like, fucking, it was barking. There was like, they were rushing through, and like they were going, all that was happening. These dogs were running around the place, like jumping on each other and stuff. And then their owners were like trying to chase after them, but weren't quick enough. And you just people going, Barney, Barney, where are you, Barney? And like they all look the fucking same and all that. And I was just like, I just want to fucking have a pint. Like I got my pint, I drank it so quick because Amy was like, I think we need to leave. We paid for like an hour and a half there. We were there like a half hour max. We got him his puppuccino. And like I saw a drive-by bloody thieving of someone's puppuccino. Someone got their free puppuccino. I gotta stop saying puppuccino.
Yeah, I hate the name. I hate the word puppuccino.
I know. All right, it's a thing of whipped cream.
I know, but it's just. I know you didn't make that word up, but it's something so chewy and like, oh, is it funny? It's like, fuck off.
I know what you mean. I hate it as well. But this one, all right, they had a dog whipped cream cup then. And
actually, puppuccino's better.
Yeah, but this one I saw, it was going, oh, here you are, like Benji or whatever, getting this thing, and a dog was coming past, and he just went, hom, and just stole it and liked it. And like, that was hilarious.
Classic
but I was
Benj.
like, my heart rate's too high to enjoy any of this. And like, where we were stood at this bar, they had like, because all the Christmas decks up and stuff. And this one dog just came and pissed on the Christmas tree right in front of us. And then every dog that went past went, "Oh, right, I'll piss on that. I'll piss on it too."
Oh, my
and so
God.
we just, this puddle of piss was just getting ever bigger in front of us. We're like, can we fucking go? Like, I hate this. It's just too much.
We'll talk about, like, so I've, this is a real mental health episode. Like, I'm neurodiverse, is what they say it is. But, I got ADHD. And I'm not one of the new ADHDers. I had it in school, and you can testify for that.
You had it before it was cool.
Before it was cool. I wasn't allowed to do exams with people because I was too disruptive. I had to do an exam on my own with just an adjudicator.
You'd be such a pain in the ass with everyone else throwing fucking pencil rubbers at people and shit like that. You had to just be taken to a different room.
Me and an old man in a room, which is wild. It's so funny to think of that. But yeah, I find lights and noise really overwhelming at times. That's why working from home is amazing for me. I work with the lights completely off, and it's really dark, and no one's walking past, so don't get distracted. So I find it incredibly facilitating to how I work. But on the motorway last night, it was pitch black. Like there was no street lights on the motorway, but everyone else's cars had their lights on, obviously, and it was really intense. Lights were going by, and I just went, "Oh, fuck this!" And Emma was like, "What's wrong?" It's like I was going to turn off and just like drive over the traffic because everything was so in my face and bright and loud and really intense. And I was
just close your eyes and fucking just go.
But it came out of nowhere, so everyone was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Oh, fucking cars everywhere!" I'm just going to pull over and stop and walk down the M4.
Oh, honestly,
I didn't.
Like Amy was like visibly like so uneasy, like she was like, can you just finish your pint? Let's just go. And I was like, I didn't even want to, don't get me wrong, I'd never leave a pint, don't be silly, but I was like, I'll have to just drink it as quick as I can. And then I was like, can we leave it? Because it was like this gate that they put, like a big doggy gate in front of the door, so almost like you couldn't leave. But we ended up just like sort of, I don't know, winching it open and letting ourselves out. But I was thinking, it was just fucking chaos.
Yeah, that does sound wild.
It was like, we were like, let's never do that again, because it was too much. I'm sure like my dog had a great time, but he was trying to hump these other dogs, and he kept getting told off. So I don't think he was like,
The best
their
thing.
favorite customer either.
Yeah. Well, I think we should stop trying to like fetishize, or like not fetishize. That's the wrong word. We should stop trying to like domesticate or humanize dogs so much. It's like the
Yeah.
pack of dogs together are wild, and they're not going to just want to sit down and have a puppuccino and discuss the Guardian articles, are they? They're going to
No,
want to fucking
exactly.
just sniff each other's ass and just.
There was this one couple. They were sat on like like how, sometimes in pubs or bars, restaurants, whatever, they have like the sofas along the side of the windows, and they're like more sofa-ish than chairs.
Yeah.
Right? They were like sat on there, and when they let the dogs loose, two dogs were like clambered up onto the sofa next to them, and they were like proper rough playing, like jumping over each other, knocking shit over. And this two couple were like, you could tell, trying to do their best to be like, this is fun, this is great, I love this. But they were getting like boffed by these two retrievers having a play fight, and they were just, their hair's fucking going everywhere because they're just being rubbed up the wrong way and everything. And it was just like fucking hell. And I was just like, this is just too much. And we paid fucking like 20 quid for the privilege as well of just being really uncomfortable.
I'm just going to quickly pour my pint. Do you want to read a review? Do you have a review to read out? Let me just go get a new pint.
Do.
1 second. Actually, wait a second. I want to hear it as well. I did the old. I don't tend to do this. I'm a Carlin boy through and through, but I decided to buy.
Splashed out for the older size.
Well, I bought 3 bottles for the £6 in Tesco, which I don't tend to do the big bottles. But because it's a Sunday, I wasn't going to have a load. And I'm being healthy, so I just assume a Heineken's better for your heart, or Asahi's better for your heart. But I bought Asahi, a Heineken, and what else is in the fridge over there? Oh, Stella. But they are nice, aren't they? The old big bottles.
Oh, I love an Asahi, mate. I think it's become my favourite beer.
We've said that, haven't we?
Beautiful.
It's definitely becoming new house favourite. When we go for all dayers, we tend to all go in for the Asahis now.
It's nice and light, isn't it? I was a Moretti boy, but Moretti's become a bit too heavy for me these days.
Never been a Moretti boy.
No, you've never gone on the hype, have you, for Moretti? Have you tried Heineken Silver?
No, I haven't. What is it?
I'm not a big Heine boy usually, but they did this like silver, and it's like light. They're saying it's light. It goes down so nice, it's smooth, and it's really nice actually. It's a bit more Asahi like. So if you can't get an Asahi, I would recommend a Heineken Silver. Well, this is not a paid ad, just my humble opinion.
And if you do want to do a paid ad, drop us a message because we're going to probably start doing some in the new year, aren't we? We're looking to do. So if you ever fancy,
we got the feelers out.
Yeah, if you ever fancy doing anything and you want to help the pod, we should mention that. A big help for the pod is people who donate to our link, which we'll put at the top of the episode in the description. We find it really helpful in giving us time to prioritize this and to with the cost of uploading, because you have to pay to keep your pods online and all that shit.
Keep things on the servers and whatever,
and the recording stuff we use, we pay for. So if anyone's got any shekels to spare, we really do appreciate it. Those who have done it so far, we really appreciate you doing so.
I know we seem like a pair of chances that would just use that on beer money, and don't get me wrong, that thought crossed our mind, but we don't. We actually use it.
Yeah, we've got an agreement,
good boys
but
like
it goes to all the money goes back into the pod, so we put it on adverts and stuff like that, and such.
But if you got a couple of shekels spare, flat ending then for that one. So that's that.
So that we're actually independent businessmen now, aren't we? Having to do this ourselves.
The money's corrupted us, mate.
Do you want to do a net readout, because we've been yakking on, harping on even.
So this is I got another review here. This is from a guy called Matty Griffin Wells. Lovely triple barrel name there.
I like the name Matty. That's a name of someone who's a laugh. It's just it's a fun name. He's not Matthew. He's
who's
got
going
no
to
time
the pub
for
tonight?
Matthew.
Matty's coming. Matty's coming. You know
Matty Ledge. Fucking love Matty. And
Matty Griffin Wells, for fuck's sake.
MGW. He's on the way.
So he said, Jack and Franks are absolutely class. 5 stars.
I knew we liked Matty.
Already like Matty. Absolutely love British history, especially about Wales. These lads make it fun and stir up a deep love for Welsh history. I have mainly English ancestry from the British Isles, but the tiny bit of Welsh in me sings with pride during the retelling of these great stories from Wales. Also, I never managed to leave an episode without having an absolute cracker of a laugh. Thank you both for doing what you're doing for Cymru. You'll go down in history like the bards, keeping the life and stories of this great country and people alive. Diolch yn fawr.
Matty,
Matty,
my
I gotta tell you,
heart.
I got a tear in my eye, mate. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
He's like one of the bards himself. The poetry in motion.
I know. Quite the lyricist.
When he said, where's he from then? If he says he's got mostly English ancestry,
he's from America. It says all it says is United States of America. Nothing more accurate than that. I do think Franks and Jack are absolutely class.
I can feel it in my bones. I do stir myself. I have myself some high tea, and I do declare I'll be reading that Welsh book about poetry.
I come from a long line of coal miners, and I have to say, I don't know what accent I'm doing there. Just doing Foghorn Leghorn, kind of.
Always Foghorn Leghorn will be good one.
We've got the only trick we have in the bag. He'll Foghorn Leghorn when it comes to American accents.
I can't really do New York. New York, I'm walking here. I'm walking. It's all too aggressive. I like to think we have sartorial, deep southern Foghorn Leghorn.
Deep southern roots in our fan base.
I actually can find out where most of our American listeners are from because I didn't realize, but on Instagram and on one of the feeds on the RSS feed, it tells you where in America people are from. So I think we should have a little deep dive. Because obviously most of them are from Wales, lots in London.
Dox all our fans and find exactly where they are.
Yeah, but we'll see where in America we have it more. We have like a decent amount of Yankee Doodles listing. Probably because we say things like Yankee Doodles.
Yeah, it's whimsy, isn't it? Whimsical.
Yeah. Anyway, enough of this bullshit. Let's get down to brass tacks.
Right, now tell me the harrowing thing about this asylum, man.
So Talgarth. Now I know spooky season is over, but it's just got its spooky little claws into me. And now everything from here on out shall be spooktacular. Another shit pun. Like it's like Puppuccino. We don't like. Is spooktacular the one we said last time we hate as well?
No, Spooktober. Because it doesn't even rhyme with October. It's
but
stupid.
Spooktacular equally doesn't work. It's not. Well, I suppose it's spectacular. It's a bit better. Maybe that's a bit better.
Closer.
Yeah,
I hate both of them. So thanks for bringing those up.
Anyway,
yes,
enough spooking about. Let's spook down to spookness. Actually, this isn't really spooky. It's just a bit bleak. But there's a certain spooky element that spook their little spooky heads. Right? Sorry, I got mad. I'm not going to say spooky anymore. Right. So mad actually, I could end up in Talgarth Asylum. So for those that don't know, Talgarth Asylum, also known as the Mid Wales Hospital, or in Welsh, Ysbyty Ganolbarth Cymru, was a psychiatric hospital in Talgarth in Mid Wales. So background, it's designed by Messrs. You know that word Messrs? It's like a bit like Mrs. or Mr. Yeah, Messrs. So Messrs. Giles Go and
say
Trollope.
like Messer Franks.
Yeah.
Did you say that, or is it?
Yeah. I'm going to Google it. It's used as a title to refer formally for more than one man simultaneously. Oh. So you'd say Messrs. Franks and Jack. So you'd say it for it's more.
I guess I'll take your word for it.
It's like plural on men. So
it's multiple misters, is it?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah,
Gotcha.
so used as a title to refer formally to more than one man simultaneously. So in the name of company. So often in companies you'd have Messrs. Anyway, sidetrack. Designed by Messrs. Giles Go and Trollope of London, which do sound like three mean characters from a Dickens novel. They're all like...
Yeah, that's when the musical notes take like a downward shift when those three turn up the pub, don't they? Yeah, you go, oh, it's not bloody... What was it? Trollope?
Yeah,
what
Giles
a silly
Go
name
and
as well.
Trollope.
Dirty Trollope.
Yeah, dirty Trollope. So it was designed by these three louts from London, and it followed the compact arrow plan and was built for a cost of around £126,000. So should we see what that is in today's bunts? Figures in £126,000 in the year this was built, which is like 1903, would be 12,600,000 today. So,
bloody hell, 12 mil.
Spenny for a hospital, I imagine. I don't know. I don't build hospitals. Anyway, that's how much
what's
it's
the going rate for a hospital? Don't know.
I imagine it's way more than that. But this is a small, very small in comparison to like, big hospitals. Big hospital. It sounds like Big Pharma. So it was originally named the Brecon and Radnor Joint Counties Lunatic Asylum. and it was open to make. I
Lunatic
know,
asylum.
lunatic. I'll get into the etymology of all this stuff as well, actually. But originally named, the Brecon and Radnor Joint Counties Lunatic Asylum, it was opened amid public ceremony on 18th of March 1903 by Lord Glanusk, who said of the opening, "Everything has been done that human ingenuity could devise for the happiness and safety of the inmates, and under the blessing of God for their speedy restoration to health," which to me already sounds ominous.
Yeah, just a little bit.
It's like when the Tories say they're doing everything humanely possible to get refugees. What it means is they're throwing them on a boat and kick them out to sail with like a disease-ridden ship. Everything humanely
chuck 'em on a
possible
big boat.
except being humane.
Yeah.
What I found interesting was that the asylum itself was designed to be self-sufficient, and it had its own private water, electricity, heating, and sewage systems. And by separate, I mean so
Oh,
for
that
the
is
rest
a
of the
bit.
area,
That is
it's-
worth noting, isn't it?
yeah. Thanks. So it was self-reliant, and it didn't need anything from the outside world. It also had a considerable agricultural estate on which able-bodied patients worked to produce food for the hospital. So I'm a bit conflicted on this, because being outside and having a role and responsibility can be really great for rehabilitation. It gives you like purpose and confidence, etc. But if you're just like, if you have like a manic depressive episode and you're trying to top yourself, and then you're forced like furrow
Get
a
in
field,
the fucking field
Yeah.
and fucking grow me some parsnips.
you
Yeah.
would be like, mate, come on, can I just want to fucking sit down? I don't want to fucking furrow.
Yeah.
I'm done
I'm having a
furrowing.
really hard time and feeling really depressed. You know what? You should
Yeah.
work in a farm. No, I don't want to work the fields. I just want to feel a bit better.
So yeah, conflicted on if that was helpful or not. But I imagine, it would be good for some people, but it might not be good for all.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't say everyone had to do this. Anyway, the asylum also had residential wards, a large recreation and dining hall, kitchen, workshops, and I quote, in which the patients were encouraged to spend their time profitably. There was a tailor, a bakery, shoemaker, printing shops, as well as 8 acres. So it did seem a bit of a workhouse in this place. Patients were put to work. So that's the setup. And if you want to visualize it, Google the photos, and you can also see it's rather like imposing and really bleak looking, very Victorian. And you can also see what it looks like today in all its ruinous ignominy, because there's like a guy who's got his GoPro and he's like snuck in, and it's completely dilapidated and broken, and this little scamp has snuck in and filmed on his GoPro. But it is worthwhile to have a look at. It looks creepy as fuck. It is like if you ever to have an abandoned asylum. I mean, I can't imagine there's many abandoned asylums that look good. But
let me have a look at the old Talgarth Asylum now. Oh yeah, it's fucking huge, isn't it? Like in terms of like the grounds. Yeah, it's big. Someone has just done Talgarth Mental Asylum, and it's done it like a logo for like a horror film almost. It's a bit fucking silly.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Carry on.
Don't the photos look pretty fucking intimidating though? It does look quite a.
They do, yeah.
Yeah. There's a guy's GoPro's pretty good. Like he goes through and there's like squatters have been there relatively recently in one of his videos, which was a bit freaky. Do you ever find that Heineken smells like weed?
Can't say I have noticed that, no.
I just had a sip of it then. Heineken smells like we need someone to work here and just do. Heineken literally tastes like weed.
Yeah.
It literally tastes
Any
like
reason?
skunk if it's in the green bottle. Beer is supposed to be like. It's on the beer in it. Why does Heineken smell like weed? Loads of people have said it. That's weird.
Yeah, I can't say I've had the association, but if it's
I'm
on the
not
internet, it must be true.
I'm not a big a big pothead. I'm
Not
not
a weed head, you.
not a weed head. But it does. I always taste it and think, tastes like just anyway. Sorry. This is very
we get so waylaid on this.
I know.
Yeah.
Convivial, is that a good word? That felt like a good word saying it. Does that mean what I think
It is a good
means?
word.
Yeah.
I don't know. What did you say? What was the sentence?
I can't remember now. I said that's very. It's been very convivial of us. This like podcast. Friendly.
Yeah,
lively,
go on then. I like that. I like it.
Fuck it. What is wrong with us?
Good
Why
word.
can't we just focus?
Can't stay on track.
No, right.
Cannot
Come
do
on,
it.
focus. So, like I mentioned, patients would tend to the land, and the place was fully self-sufficient, and it grew all its own food. It had actual farms, which is pretty cool, or bad. We haven't yet decided. They had 12 wards, which could accommodate 352 patients, and it was initially used as a place to house people with mental illnesses and essentially keep them out of sight from the wider community. There was very, very limited treatment available for these poor bastards at the time, and it's just a place to keep them out of sight, out of mind. So, I mean, me and you would have been fucking, we'd have been
Yeah.
wheeled off early doors, sent to this poor place where all these little souls had to fucking see out their existence. And to care, in quotations, for these patients included rooms that were completely padded from the floor to the ceiling, and the patients within them had put in strong suits, which we know as straitjackets.
Right, okay.
So patients in the early years, and I say early years because the hospital was active until 1997, but practices progressed with time, and I'm sure care was delivered brilliantly by the modern day approaches to mental health, etc. But in the early years, you could be locked in a room with no windows, no furniture, and constrained in a skin-tight jacket. So just thinking about that fills me with like fucking claustrophobia.
Yeah, that's not nice, is it? Yeah, it's horrible.
No, it's fucking grim. And also, I read into what happens in a straitjacket. So a lot of what happened to the people whilst they were there, they were left in straitjackets for far longer than they should have been, which causes loads of pain for wearers, and it causes blood to pool in your elbows, causing swelling. The hands become numb from lack of proper circulation. Bone and muscle stiffness cause the upper arms and shoulders to experience really intense pain. And what also happens is many of the wearers in these situations attempt to move or stretch their arms by thrashing around in these jackets, which is why institutions now take great precautions, such as monitoring patients and can form into strict protocols. But that wasn't the case in this hospital, and they would just chuck them in them, lock them up, and throw them in there. So they'd be really doing an awful lot of pain, be really uncomfortable, and you're in a fucking I just imagine it'd be so claustrophobic when you're scared anyway.
The feeling of just like that constriction, like just I don't know, I don't like it. I don't like even thinking about it.
No. But as time went on, throughout Britain, asylums were going through a bit of a rebranding, and they began to be referred to as hospitals, and they were thought as more placements of treatment rather than confinement. Changes in attitude and better understanding of mental health issues. Changes in attitude and better understanding about mental health issues, how they should be treated, i.e., health issues, not inconvenient episodes that should be ignored. They should be more considered as like practices, like they could be considered actual health issues that doctors should be intervening with. And as such, in 1921, the asylum changed to become Mid Wales County's mental hospital. So the asylum word and the stigma attached with that was kind of being pushed. So for the 20 years in between, they then decided to change these to actual hospitals.
Got you, right, yeah.
But I would say, though, this didn't... it wasn't really until the 1960s that attitudes really changed towards mental illness. So even though this 20-year change from the term asylum to mental hospital, the attitudes to it were still incredibly barbaric from today's standards.
Was it just like a kind of a change of nomenclature rather than like an actual change of
you can kind of
practice and stuff,
pinpoint the 20s to being the starting point in which the stigma started to slowly shift. But I say slowly, it's another 20, 40 years until things progress to the next stage. Anyway, even with this name change, there was pretty horrific treatments continued. And again, like all of our episodes, it's really easy to be judgmental of the past with our new understandings and modern moralities. So I'm not like passing judgment per se. I'm not being like, oh, this is awful, because some people, they actually might have been trying to help, or it's hard for us to deem what the reasons were. Instead, I'm just going to say these sound horrific by today's standards, and I'm going to list out what was used. So they would conduct deep sleep therapy to treat schizophrenia and depression using barbiturates, which are like sedative hypnotic medications, meaning they make you feel really relaxed and drowsy, but they aren't used today due to them being so risky and dangerous. Yeah, so this deep sleep therapy is really controversial and since been discredited, but it's where you use drugs that keep patients unconscious for weeks. So it's a practice that lots of loss of death and stuff. Yeah. So you're giving them these sedative medications to essentially induce comas. So you have someone who's got schizophrenia, and you just give them so much medication that they sleep for weeks upon weeks upon weeks, and it obviously led to lots of deaths in patients. So that was in the 20s. Then in the 30s, they introduced hypoglycemic shock therapy, where they use insulin to induce patients into comas and produce convulsions, which they would, and I quote, jolt patients out of their psychoses.
Jesus. So, I mean, anything with shock therapy in the name, rings pretty horrible, doesn't it? Yeah.
So they induce pretty much diabetic fits and stuff like that. And the idea is once you've had your fit, you come back around, you forget your depression because you've just had a fit.
Because your body's been through fucking trauma.
So obviously this didn't fucking work. And again, it's discredited. It's like, here you go, mate. Just nearly kill you. Let me just nearly kill you and see if that helps. Because again, this led to a lot of deaths. And then
Yeah.
throughout the 30s, so these two therapies were happening a lot, and lots of patients didn't survive. But these weren't just using Talgarth; they used all around the world, and all around Britain and Australia and in America.
Mm.
During the Second World War, the British government were desperately trying to find places to treat injured soldiers, so Talgarth pivoted and became a military hospital, and then it would continue to care for those with shell shock after the war. And shell shock is what we now call PTSD, so post-traumatic stress
Yeah.
disorder. And during the 1940s, the hospital began treating depression, schizophrenia, and mania using short pulses of electrical currents. So, along with
Oh,
probably the most
great.
controversial, so like you said, there, you're using electro pulse.
Zapping people with electric. Yeah.
Yeah, you're giving them electric pulse therapy. You're doing these. You're making them hypoglycemic. You're also,
Why aren't you getting better? You just seem to
yeah,
be traumatized by this. Yeah.
and you're also inducing them into comas for weeks at a time to get them. But
Mm.
what they also introduced in the 40s, which is probably the most controversial of all medical treatments for mental illness, was the prefrontal lobe lobotomy.
Oh god,
Um,
yeah, that's rough, isn't it?
So, those who don't know, the prefrontal lobotomy is again a discredited form of neurosurgical treatment for psychiatric disorders. So, like I just mentioned, it's like depression, epilepsy, schizophrenia, things like that. And the way it works is the brain has several lobes, each with different functions. And the frontal lobe was the part of the brain targeted in the standard lobotomy operations practiced in the 40s and 50s. This surgery consisted of making holes in the skull, which is, always a great start, and then removing some brain tissue and severing the connection between the frontal lobe and the thalamus. A lobotomy disrupts the connection between the frontal cortex and the rest of the brain, particularly the thalamus, and doctors believe that doing so would reduce abnormal stimuli reaching the frontal area. So such stimuli were thought to cause impulsive and violent behavior. So they thought by cutting this, they'd stop people having violent fits, violent episodes of
Mm.
epilepsy, or stop the depression or manic or mania and things like that.
Yeah.
The use of this procedure increased dramatically in the 40s. They fucking loved it, and in the 50s, they thought this is like a brilliant new medicine. And there was all
Well, there
like
was a thing,
20,000.
wasn't there, like where it, you'd think of this, like the idea of this fucking severing a bit connection in your brain sounds like something that should be a last resort, but because of its popularity, like you said, I remember reading things about how it became very much like almost like a first response instead of a
Yeah.
last resort to a lot of things.
Well, what's
Oh,
awful,
you're a bit depressed, you right? I'll just fucking carve this bit of your brain out.
they gave it a lot to. So this is during the 50s. So when the suffragettes and stuff was getting,
Mm.
women's rights were on the rise. Most of the people getting lobotomies were women, so it was mostly given to women who
Mm.
they kind of deemed as being, you're mad. Why would you want the vote, or anything like that?
Yeah.
Also, a hugely disproportionate number of gay men were given lobotomies, so it affected marginalized communities in a way of just because what would happen after getting the lobotomies, you become zombie-like, you become really lethargic, passive, you don't react with emotions, you lose essentially who you are as a person, and you become childlike in lots of ways. There's lots of different ways it affect you, but you do just become a bit of a husk of who you were. So people who they thought being gay was kind of an illness, so they treat them with it, and they'd also perform it a lot on women. So now though, this was all practices that were done quite a lot in Talgarth, slightly disproportionately so than the rest of the places in the UK. So now we reach the 50s, and we see a dramatic change in the treatment of the mentally ill with the introduction of medicines to treat mental illness. So they started using lithium as an effective treatment for manic patients, and would be a mainstay in the hospital right up to its eventual closure. Something called Largicil, which eased the symptoms of hallucinations, delusions, agitation, and thought disorders, and was hailed as a wonder drug in the mental health community. Tofranil, the first effective antidepressant, was developed and started a brand new era of treatments for this common mental illness. And these less brutal and more effective drugs began to transform the practice of psychiatry within the mental hospitals, and the reliance on these older mental treatments such as hypoglycemic shock therapy, deep sleep therapy, and all those other ones. They got abandoned like throughout the 50s and 60s. That was it then.
Yeah, maybe someone along the line went, all this like putting people into induced comas and fits and fucking severing bits of their brain. Do you think we should knock that on the head? Maybe
you should
something
bash
better
that
to
off
do?
a bit. But also, like I said, it was before this. It was seen as a wider. Loads of people would see mental health as an embarrassment, and it's a really it was literally out of sight, out of mind. If you've had family members, you wouldn't go visit them. You'd this
No,
is a
lock
chance
them
to
away
get
in an
them out. Yeah,
asylum
lock them
somewhere, and
away.
then just and then like you said, the embarrassment isn't on your
Yeah.
family name. Then type of thing.
Due to being locked away, it could also lead to manipulation and abuse, because no one's caring for these patients bar those within those walls. So you have these horrific stories about things like that happening.
Yeah.
But this breakthrough in this new psychotropic drugs led to a major changes in mental health systems, with the increasing growth in outpatient treatment. So people got sick of these drugs and could go back home living with their families or being cared for in the community. And these shorter stays at the hospital led towards the therapeutic revolution, and it shifted from hospital care to community care, and that kind of marked the final 3 decades of Talgarth Asylum, which was then known as the Mid Wales Hospital. So by the end of the 60s, the idea of it being a place where you'd have all these things happen, it became a regular hospital until it closed 30 years later. But it's regarded as one of the most haunted sites in Wales. And if you're into that sort of hogwash, then there's some pretty creepy photos of spectres and spooks that you can check out online. And it's still, because it's been untouched and it was built such a stark remembrance of the early 900s and unmoved. They didn't really build on it, and it's kept in pretty decent. Hasn't been knocked down, hasn't been turned into anything.
Yeah.
It's a relic from the past, and you can have a look around. Even if you don't go there personally, you can have a look online. You can see how brutal and kind of scary it would have been to be an inpatient at the Talgarth Asylum. So a slightly different one for us, but we are, we're spreading out, and this was again is Welsh history, medical history. I hope you enjoyed it.
That was good, mate. Very interesting. I just think it's mental. Like you said, it's easy for us to look back today with today's morals and sort of how we do things and be like, oh, it's disgusting stuff. Imagine so mad to me to think there was a time where they go, oh, how do you think you cure this? All I'll do is I'll drill a couple of holes in your skull, and then and like you said already, I'd be going, I don't really like the sound of that. It's like, well, you would say that you're in a lunatic asylum, and I have to sever apart your brain. You lunatic, and it's just like, oh, so mad.
The photos, if I look, you can I picture yourself being within those walls, and how if you got depression, how much that probably wasn't going to help you. But it's a testament to how far
when you look at like the sort of the rooms and stuff like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's all dilapidated and shit like that now, but you don't think you should go here. That'll make you feel better. Yeah. Something tells me it's not gonna.
Well, when was the 60s? 60 years ago. So if you think modern medicine's kind of been around from there, especially modern mental health medicine. So in 60 years, we've come an incredibly long way from before that up until that period. People were just getting thrown away to different areas, locked down,
lobotomized.
I
can't believe that about induced seizures and stuff. That's crazy.
Knock you out for as long as you could go. Hopefully, you wake up refreshed.
I love that it's going, hey, after we induced a few seizures, he didn't moan about depression anymore. It's like, probably because his fucking body is broken. Mad.
So it was a brutal period from when they started it. It was a 40-year or 60-year period of having some pretty horrific stuff done to deal with the old mental health. But yes, that's a part of Welsh history. Thanks for listening. Diolch yn gwrando. Drop us a follow on socials on Tales for Wales podcast. So Tales 4 Wales podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And if you could tell your mates about it, we'd love that an awful lot. We enjoy getting the extra listeners and seeing this pod grow and grow. Anything from you?
Yeah, and any comments and things like that. We always love interacting with you guys. We love getting messages and
very fun messages.
If any nice stuff, we try our best to cover on the pod and sort of air your nice words and things. So if you want to get in touch and have a little chin wag with us or whatever, go for it.
Diolch yn fawr. Thanks everyone. Cheers.
Diolch. Ta-ra.